there, welcome to the farm. I'm gonna go out and visit my nephews today. They're getting ready to show some calves at the fair, and I thought I'd take them a little spot of tea and some scones. I'm gonna go down to Great River Organic Milling in Fountain City, Wisconsin to grab some organic flour, and then it's off to Sunbow Farms in Eau Claire for some herbal tea. Gather with us around the farm table. I'm your host, Inga Witcher.
Gather with us around the farm table.
A few years ago, I moved up to Wisconsin. I started an organic dairy farm at St. Isidore's Mead. That's when I discovered the abundance of Midwestern local food and small-scale farmers, growing everything from green zebra tomatoes to pasture pork. I'm taking a break from the cows, hitting the road, and seeing if I can't satisfy my epicurious appetite. That's great. This is amazing.
Funding for Around the Farm Table is provided in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, a member-driven organization for family farmers, rural communities, and all people. Wisconsin Farmers Union, united to grow family agriculture. Information at wisconsinfarmersunion.com. With additional support from these community members and Friends of Wisconsin Public Television.
My friend Gordon's been keeping bees here at my farm for a couple years now, and I want you guys to meet him. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to beekeeping. Hi there, Gordon.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Good. So, Gordon, I know that you've been keeping bees for how many years?
65 years.
That's hardly any. You're practically a beginner. So what is it about having bees on a dairy farm like this that's attractive to you as a beekeeper?
We need the pasture here especially with the white Dutch clover and a few Canada thistles.
Oh,
it's good
okay.
forage for the bees, and without that, the bees just don't do well. So
Oh, no
right
kidding.
now we're on a pretty good honey flow. You can see by the height of these hives. My grandson has been adding these supers. That's the box that collects the honey.
Okay.
And I haven't been through these bees for a long time, but he keeps adding because as each one gets filled, we add another.
So the honey just
Layer.
builds up on the supers,
Right.
is what happens. Okay.
Right.
Oh, wow. So how important, I haven't been trying not to mow the pasture too much or anything, and I've got less cows this year, so they're not grazing a lot. So is it good that I have these different species, like the thistles and the wildflowers and things? They can feed off of all of those different plants?
Most of them, sure.
Okay.
Certainly, we need a variety.
Yeah.
And we've just done a no-till planting in our pastures.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the pollinator program.
Right. Uh-huh.
It's supported by our present government program.
Good.
And we put in white Dutch clover and Alsike clover, but there's a lot of other plants that certainly could be beneficial to the bees. And I think in a lot of our set-aside land now, we've got inducements to put in plants that are good for pollinators.
Oh, good.
Which is something that was not the case in years past.
That's encouraging. Now, I know you guys sell honey, but what are those other byproducts of having bees?
Well, I have on the back of my truck here a big chunk of beeswax. Of course, as you harvest the honey, you get a certain amount of beeswax as a byproduct. And then we scrape propolis out of those boxes. And
What is propolis?
Propolis is really resin that the bees gather from plants, and then they bring it home and use it for glue to glue things together.
Oh, no kidding. What do people do with propolis after?
Mostly it's used for pharmaceutical purposes.
No kidding.
Yes, and the medical profession is beginning to be aware of that, and there is a doctor in Eau Claire who actually is promoting the use of honey.
One day, your grandson Christoph was over, and he was milking cows with me, and we had a cow come in, and she had just a big rip off of her leg, like she got caught up in something, and it just tore off all the skin. Ooh. And so I didn't know what to do, but Christoph brought some honey out to the barn, so we said, well, let's just try it. And we just kept putting honey on her for a couple days and wrapping it up a little bit, and she completely healed. It was exciting, really, to see how the honey there was no infection, nothing. It just really, it's an amazing product.
There's your propolis.
Wow.
See how they got everything glued together? We scrape that off, and then we can sell that for. There's a frame of honey for you.
Wow.
That's probably several pounds there.
Wow. Oh, I see it dripping out too. Wow.
Oh, is it? And
Yeah.
there's your propolis.
Okay.
That propolis is used to close off any gaps that they can't walk through. They
Amazing.
close it off.
So now this is
we've got probably 150 pounds of honey on here.
wow.
That's just one hive. You can add that up to all the hives that are here, and we've got a nice crop coming in.
Well, Gordon, this has been so interesting to learn this much about bees.
Well, I think everyone I've ever talked to about bees has found it fascinating.
Good. And I want you to keep having bees here all the time because I love the honey that comes out of them. So.
Well, thank you very much.
All
That's
right.
good.
Okay. Well, hey, come on along with me and we'll go down and get some flour. Good morning, Craig. How are you?
Hi, Inga. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Same old, busy, making flour.
I hear you. I've been using flour from you guys for quite some time. Tell me a little bit about the process of milling flour here.
Well, how we're different is we're a stone milling operation, and there really aren't too many of us left in the country.
Oh.
So it's a very, some would consider it an antiquated way of milling it. Some would consider it the most nutritious way of milling flour. So we have big 30-inch stone mills, which we can go and have a look at. And we gravity feed the grain into them, and they're all set by hand, how tight we mill it, depending on what it is we're milling. And we consider ourselves to be 100% extraction flour. So all the nutrition that's within the grain, we grind and it ends up in the flour.
Oh,
so we don't
good.
take anything out, we don't add anything to it. So
That's really good. So it must taste amazing.
nutrition and the taste flavor profile is different to what you would find in a modern refined flour where they've messed around with it and taken things out.
What kind of products do you guys do here?
Everything from whole wheat flour to teff flour to millet flour, spelt flour, barley flour, rye flour, corn flour. The list is,
Wow.
you name it. If it's a hard
One-stop
cereal,
shop.
yeah, if it's a hard cereal grain, we can grind it.
Now, you're certified organic here. Is it difficult to source organic grains?
There's a big demand out there, and although the organic farming is growing and trying to keep with it, I think that it's a little bit behind. For example, spelt right now has been very difficult to find. By new crop, we hope that's going to change, but we have very good relationships with the farmers that we go to, so we kind of figure it out and we get through the year.
I think it's hard for a lot of farmers to kind of transition into it because it takes a 3-year transition your land, which is really expensive.
Exactly.
But I think it's wonderful to have places like Great River Milling that need organic grain, so perhaps somebody coming into farming or somebody who's looking to transition out of dairy farming or something like that can start growing organic grains and have a place to sell it.
Absolutely.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't have a huge farm, we could pretty much buy what you could grow.
Wow.
But it's just whether or not the farmer can get through that initial perhaps 2 to 3 years where they're not going to be selling anything. That's the big thing. And I think that's where the government needs to step in really and help subsidise that. If they really want to
great.
push healthy food, I think that needs to happen.
Yeah, it'd be a nicer transition. Now, how far away do you sell your products? I always see them in co-ops around Wisconsin.
Well, you'll see it there, you'll see it in Florida, you'll see it, I mean, obviously we're on Amazon, so you can buy it anywhere in the US on Amazon.
Wow.
We also export to Canada, to Mexico, to Taiwan, to China, Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it that right here in this beautiful little valley,
Just a
there's
little
this whole
gem.
like beating heart of flour going out,
know, it's crazy,
feeding the
isn't it?
world.
Crazy, I know.
So I stopped down today. I'm going to be making some scones. So I was hoping to pick up some flour if you guys have some. I'm
Yeah.
assuming you have some available.
We do. Well, we mill everything to order, so we
Oh.
don't keep inventory. We like to deliver it to completely fresh. So we're going to mill you some flour right now, and then
That
you can take it
sounds-
home and bake till your heart's content.
You are amazing. Thank
Shall we
you.
go? Straight off the mills just for you, Inga.
Great. Thank you. Well, hey, good to see you.
You too.
Until next time.
Yeah, bye.
Well, hello, Christina.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Nice to see you
Good.
again.
Welcome to the farm.
Hey, this is a beautiful place.
Thank you.
I've always wanted to come here. It's just gorgeous.
Thank you. We really love it here.
How long have you guys been here for?
I've had it, but this is my 12th year.
Oh,
here.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to stop by. I'm on my way up to see my brother, but I'm also I'm trying to figure out ways to diversify my farm a little bit and add value a little bit. And I wanted to come talk to you a little bit about your tea.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
What's the process involved?
We have about, I think about 10 different teas that we sell. And these are all herbal teas. The biggest issue with producing tea that you're going to want to sell is to have a good way to dry your herbs.
Right.
And then the other issue with teas that people don't realize is that what looks like a lot of herb, when you dry it, becomes very little herb. All of our herbs are certified organic. We have about 80 different herbs that we either grow or wild harvest. We're actually certified organic to wild harvest off the property as well.
So what does wild harvest mean?
It means that you're not actively cultivating the herb. You haven't planted it, you're not fertilizing it, you're not doing anything. It's just growing in the wild here. And we can go out to our woods or out into the pasture here and actually just harvest it as in its natural environment.
What would some of those herbs be?
Well, one of the biggest ones that was here was yarrow.
Okay.
Which we use in a bunch of our products, and it was actually all throughout the pasture. Another one is nettle that we harvest a lot of that's just growing here.
What are some of your favorite herbs to grow in Wisconsin?
One of the most beautiful ones that I like to grow is St. John's wort.
Oh, okay.
It's a really, really pretty crop to grow.
And that has those beautiful yellow flowers, right?
Beautiful yellow flowers, yeah. Skullcap is another really nice one. I really like marshmallow, which we use a lot.
Do you have any advice for how to make a really good cup of tea?
Yes. You use the freshest herbs you can possibly get, and you're going to put it in water, and you're going to make sure it's covered, and you are going to let that tea steep for at least 15 to 20 minutes.
Wow.
At least. You really want to get the flavor out of that. And I'm standing here in front of this beautiful bowl of our Blueberry Bliss, just like, it's wonderful. It smells so good. And it's just about freshness. It really is.
What are the ingredients?
Well, the 4 ingredients that are in this tea are catnip. And this one is linden. The other name for that is basswood, which most people know it by. And it's this tree right here, spearmint and blueberries. So linden and catnip are well known for their nervine properties, so very calming to the nervous system. And with the linden, what you do, you can see way up on the tree those little seeds hanging down.
Sure.
So you harvest just that little leaf and those seeds when they're in flower, and crunch them all up, and that's what this is right here.
And what are the honeys that you have down here?
Well, if you're going to have a good tea, it can stand alone, but it always tastes better with honey, of course, my opinion as a beekeeper. So what we did to kind of combine our beekeeping and our herbs is that we actually take the honey from the farm and we infuse it with herbs. So you'll take your honey and you put your herbs in there and you just let them sit for anywhere. Depending on the herb, it might only be 2 weeks if it's really strong, but it could be 2 months.
Well, Christina, thank you so for this wonderful information.
My pleasure.
I've got to head out. Do you mind if I take some tea and honey with me?
Oh, for sure. Yes. So here's a jar of the Blueberry Bliss we were talking about today, and this is a little sampler of our rose petal honey.
Fantastic.
So you'll have to tell me what you think.
Oh, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, you too.
My brother recently started working at Indian Head Holsteins, where Bob and Karen Schaaf have generously offered up some calves for my nephews to take to the fair.
Hello, Karen.
Hi, Inga.
How are you doing today?
We are good.
Oh, what a beautiful cow. Is this the famous Tia?
This is, yes.
And she just won. What did she just win recently?
Well, we have a district show that's several counties together, and so she ended up to be the grand champion for the day.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
She's
thank you.
so beautiful.
Thank you.
You guys have quite a few amazing cows here.
Well, we like our cows.
Tell me a little bit about your farm. You grew up here.
I did. I lived upstairs in that old farmhouse when I was just a babe until about 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
My grandparents owned this farm.
And you're so involved with dairy farming. And I think for me as a woman who's a dairy farmer, I love to be able to have wonderful people like you that can kind of lead the way. I mean, you were Dairy Woman of the Year last year, weren't you?
Well, 2013, yes.
Okay,
yes.
That's fantastic.
Our industry is really good in that they recognize the women because they know the women do play an important part in making a farm successful. It's a lifestyle.
It
you
is,
know?
yeah. Oh, hey, baby. Hey, baby. Oh, what a sweetie. Well, Karen, I was hoping, I know that you've generously offered some calves to my nephews to take as their fair project, and I know things are kind of getting ready for the fair today, so I'd love to help you guys out and make you some snacks.
Oh, that sounds great. It'll be fun.
Okay, great. Hi, boys.
Hi.
Are you ready to have me help you out?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I started showing calves at the fair when I was these guys' age, and I'm really excited to be able to pass on a little bit of my knowledge to the next generation of my family. So, boys, I want you to pay attention. I'm going to give you a couple tips. First thing that you want to do when you're getting a calf ready for the fair is make sure it's trained. So you want to lead that calf every single day, sometimes twice a day. So when you're showing your calf, they might ask you some questions. So they might ask you the breed of the cow or even the calf's name. Do you have a name for your calf?
ABC.
ABC, I love that name. You also might need to know the birth date and things like that. And that's just a way that the judge knows that you're paying attention and you're a responsible young adult, like I know you are, buddy. They might even ask you who your favorite auntie is. Do you have one? Can you point at your favorite auntie? That's right, buddy. Mwah. All right, let's go. Now you guys, can you kind of bring your calves all the way up? You want the judge to know that you've really worked with that animal and that animal really responds to you and you feel comfortable together, okay? Your calf has to come to the fair nice and clipped and looking gorgeous. And when you're walking that calf around in the show ring, the most important thing, Mason and Ethan, is to have a big smile on your face and look like you're having a great time. And you know, a good smile is gonna get you far in life, farther than a lot of things, so remember that. All right, boys, well, let's start out with just walking the calves around, getting comfortable, and seeing how it goes from there. Well, hi, guys.
Hi, Inga.
How's it going? Nice to see you.
Really good.
Hey, you guys.
We're giving a little demo here, getting their calves ready for the Junior State Fair.
Good. Are you guys kind of excited?
Yeah.
But what kinds of things are you look for?
I was just telling these guys, there's a lot of preparation involved in. They go to the fair and they see these calves being shown and so on, but there's a lot of work and preparation involved, which starts actually when these calves are very young, when these guys are young. You know, they first have to get equipment, clippers, brushes, wash brushes.
The whole works.
And so you start out by cleaning, training your calf to lead, tying it up, working with it. And I was just giving them a little demonstration on clipping. So it's kind of like a little beauty parlor for the calf here.
I think these guys could use a little clipping too.
Yeah, we could do
for
that.
The fair.
This would do it. Hurry.
It's nice to have, the calf is so calm. And so you can tell that the animal's been worked with quite a bit if it's this calm.
They aren't all this calm.
Not to start with.
Do you mind if we go take a look at some of your milk cows?
Yeah, that would be even easier.
All right. Let these guys take over here. They're just so excited. Good to see you, boys. So, Bob, tell me a little bit about this cow and what you're looking for.
And we as Holstein breeders are trying to develop an animal that's going to last, that's going to be profitable. Our goal with this cow, and she is getting closer to our ideal. She's a cow that has actually scored quite highly as a 4-year-old cow. We're looking for a cow that has width and strength. She has the ability to eat large amounts of feed,
To
produce
produce
large
milk, yeah.
volumes of milk, and last a long time to be profitable for the dairy.
What are you looking for in an udder on these cows?
This cow is milking actually 145 pounds a day.
Wow.
So her udder has to be strongly attached. It has to blend into her body, be strong. You can see the quality from the veins and so on. You want her udder to carry high above her hock so she's not kicking it as she walks. You want it wide and high and strongly attached. And you talk about balance when you talk about cow, you talk about balance about the udder. Some people can look at a cow's head and tell you what kind of udder she has from the strength and the width in the
Interesting.
eyes, the muzzle strength. So her strength and balance, passes right to her udder in this cow.
Well, Bob, you should be really proud of these cows. They're just gorgeous. And I know it's almost tea time, and Karen's going to be milking here pretty quick. So I'm going to head into, can I use the kitchen here in the barn?
Absolutely.
All right, because just wanted to make you guys up a little snack before I left.
Terrific.
All righty, I'll
Sounds
see you
good.
soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bob and Karen have this lovely little kitchen right here in their dairy barn. So I thought I'd take advantage of the kitchen and make my mom's famous scone recipe. My mom's been making these scones for years and everyone raves about them. I just took it for granted. I had no idea how good they were until I got to have a trip to England and had scones there. And I thought, boy, these taste just like my mother's scones. So I wanted to show you guys how to do it. It's really simple. But before I start on the scones, I want to get the tea started because remember, that's going to take about 15 minutes to steep for that maximum flavor experience. Think about adding about a tablespoon of tea per cup of water. And you need roughly about a cup of water per person that you're serving. Oh, it smells so good. Now add my water. Fill it right to the brim there. And there we go. Now with the scones, we're going to start with the dry ingredients first. So it's about 2 cups of flour, which means I have roughly enough flour to make a batch of scones for the entire community here. About 1/3 cup of sugar and some baking soda and a little bit of salt. And then you can add dried fruit if you'd like. My mother always adds cranberries, and cranberries are from Wisconsin, so that's kind of perfect. I like to add dried cherries. I love that sweet, tart flavor of the cherries. You can also make the scones savory by adding in some chopped herbs like dill and cheddar cheese or anything like that. It's really the basis of a recipe that you can really experiment with and have a lot of fun with. So I'm just going to add about, I suppose, a 1/2 cup of dried fruit. Go ahead and mix all this together. Looks good. And then I'll zest in the zest from 1 lemon. I've been using lemon zest quite a bit when I'm in my cooking. I just think it adds such a nice bright flavor to everything. And I just can't get enough of it. Give that a good stir in. And then now I'm going to mix in about, I suppose like 1.25 cups of fresh cream. Now these are just cream scones. These aren't butter scones. When I make scones at home, I always add a stick of butter because they just taste really good. But my mother is a cream scone kind of a lady, so I'm sticking with her recipe today. Turn your dough out onto a lightly floured surface here. This is the fun part. Now you can just bring all the dough together, get all the little bits going here, and then knead it. Don't over knead it. My mom always says she kneads her scones 10 times, not once more, not once less. If you have a rolling pin, you can use a rolling pin to roll this out. I suppose you want to roll it out to about 1 inch thick, and then you can cut them out in any shape you want. One little tip is you can put these on a cookie sheet and pop them in your freezer for a half an hour or even overnight, and then pop them out and bake them just before you want to serve them. Once you've got all your circles cut out, you can put them on a piece of parchment lined cookie sheet here. And like I said, if you have time, pop them in the freezer for a little bit so they can set back up. But if you don't, no big deal. And you're going to bake these in the oven at 425 for about 12-15 minutes until they're nice and light brown. Alrighty, well, I'm going to pop these in the oven and get everything cleaned up, and then I'll gather the troops. Remember to steep the tea for at least 15 minutes. And serve it with a generous dollop of honey. Slather your scones with lots of farm fresh butter. Even the kids love the taste of this fresh, wonderful herbal tea. I hope you've enjoyed gathering with us for some Holsteins, some scones, and some fantastic tea. And I hope you'll join us next time around the farm table. I'm your host, Inga Witcher.
Funding for Around the Farm Table is provided in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, a member-driven organization for family farmers, rural communities, and all people. Wisconsin Farmers Union, united to grow family agriculture. Information at wisconsinfarmersunion.com. With additional support from these community members and Friends of Wisconsin Public Television.